Hi, Monica here with King's Titan Homestead. We do a lot with bees, a lot. So this is a video about a lot of the different flowers that either I have planted or are wild, and what time of the year that I have noticed bees on them. And something that you'll see that I do is I actually pay close attention to the bees that have pollen on them so that I can see what color the pollen is that they're gathering, and that way I can actually recognize the pollen granules in the hive. I can kind of tell with what time of the year it is what they're actually out there gathering. So I hope you enjoy this video, and here's the first section. This is a wildflower called Adonis Blazing Star. Those Adonis blazing stars, they practically bloom from like February, March, all the way through the year. I'm like almost, like October, November. And it depends on rainfall. And so those that are in my irrigated areas, they of course bloom more frequently than the others, but I have certain plants that are just continuous, and the bees absolutely love them. The next thing is a palm tree, and this palm was videotaped in December. I photographed and videotaped. Sorry about the barking. The actual homeowner thought that they had a hive inside the palm tree. That is just how loud all the buzzing was, and I couldn't reach the palm tree to get really great footage of the bees working it. So basically I took some film of the worker bee on the sidewalk gathering pollen out of the fallen, torn up petals and everything. She was just frantically gathering. Of course, December is a dearth period for us, and so palm trees is a great addition to your yard. If you put in some palm trees, they're great for pollinators. So take a peek at that. Now we have a grape scented salvia, and this is a plant that I picked up from the Desert Survivors nursery. Okay, so that salvia was blooming in December also. And in January, I went up to some higher elevation, and you should have seen the manzanita blooming. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And oh boy, I wish I could put some closer, on the homestead. I love the manzanita. Manzanita, I believe, stands for it means little apple in Spanish, and actually there's benefits and uses for people to make different things, drinks and things out of these manzanita berries. So this is a great plant to put in if you can. And again, this is blooming in January, another time of a dearth period, and this is a native plant. So you might want to think about manzanita. So this is one of the aloe varieties, not quite sure which one it is, but it is not the really medicinal one. The medicinal one, the flowers are yellow. But if this is irrigated, aloe will bloom, you know, my aloe is blooming outside right now, and it's April. So, and this actually was taken, I took these film in April of last year. So it's a great thing. The bees love it. So don't pull out all those aloes. They bloom beautifully, and the pollinators and they all love them. So and they just grow prolifically. So we definitely can use aloes here. So moving on to September, this is wild amaranth, or also known as pigweed. When I make it for dinner, Dan says to make sure to call it amaranth because he doesn't want to be eating pigweed. just just a funky name for such a beautiful plant. I actually love amaranth, and there's so many different species, and actually some of the species actually feed third world countries. So right now in my gardens, I just sprouted some Hopi red amaranth, but this is actually our native variety that just grows wild in our gardens, and I don't pull them out. So here's some amaranth blooming in September, and take a peek at all that pollen. And then this January 2021, there is nothing out there for me, and so I was at one of the big box stores and I saw some plants on sale, and I grabbed them, and one was a pansy and the other was stock. And as you can tell, the bees absolutely loved them, and they were blooming in January. Another great one to plant for January's poppies. So this is a stock flower. I found them on the clearance rack at Lowe's. And I knew that bees like them. Not as much as poppies, but my poppies aren't up yet. And the stock does okay. It went through the snow. I didn't cover any of it. And the bees have been, as you can see, look at the damage. That's from bees. The bees are just loving having something to work. They've only had their dry protein powder that I've put out for them. And when they met these flowers, they literally went absolutely berserk on them. And as you can tell, this one here, she is still just going at this one. And there's a happy bee. Another happy bee. It's warming up, and you can just hear the bees all in the garden now. My cauliflower is not heading yet, but So I picked up this currant bush. It actually is native to Arizona, in the northern part of Arizona. But I picked up this currant bush at the, again, Desert Survivors, and it's blooming beautifully, and the bees, there they are, they're working it. So I could get some berries this year off of that. Fabulous. This is why I like having my cabbages and broccolis go to seed, not only so that I can gather the seeds, but so that the bees can benefit from the blossoms. And this right here is Chinese cabbage. And you might say, oh, but you didn't get to eat the head. Well, what we've been doing, look at all, they're getting some really pretty, their pollen baskets are, let me see if she'll let me, she's got a little pollen. She's gathering a little pollen. But for the most part, the way Dan and I ate it was we just took and we kept trimming leaves off the bottom. And as you can tell, we still have some more meals on here. And I'm going to harvest some more probably today, while the girls get to benefit their part of it. And I'm sure these would be delicious for human consumption as well, but I'd rather have my bees get it. They just absolutely love this rosemary. I don't know if you can tell. This is my hand. This is a huge bush. Oh, check it out. I even have got some native pollinators working there. Guys, just humming.